The Florida Museum is the State Museum of Natural History, and it's located on the University of Florida campus and part of the university, but it's also the State Museum, and we have visitors from every county in Florida and every state in the nation and many other countries.
Origins of the Florida Museum Natural History begin in Lake City at the Florida Agricultural College back in the early 1890s. That was brought to Gainesville to help form the initial University of Florida. And this museum moved from Lake City to Gainesville in 1906 and has been here ever since the beginning of the University of Florida. We were originally in the basement of one of the early dormitories, occupied Flint Hall for a while, moved downtown to the Siegel building, and then it moved back onto campus in the newly fashioned Dickinson Hall in 1970. Dickinson Hall is still active. Most of our scientists and collections exist there. By the 1990s, the decision was made to move the public side of the museum to the western edge of campus, which is where we're now. We want to have an interactive experience so that people come here, it's enjoyable, they learn something, but it also changes their lives or their behaviors. We feel it's very, very important in today's world to be cognizant of what's going on with our environment, with our biodiversity, and to take better care of those natural resources. Our permanent exhibit galleries are experiential in nature. We just opened a brand new one, Water Shapes Florida, which focuses on the importance of water to all Floridians, how we care for that most important of natural resources. We have an exhibit on Florida fossils, permanent exhibit on Southwest Florida, biodiversity and the ancient peoples that lived in that area.
This is for the community, and it's about the community. It's about the history of where we live. The Discovery Zone was designed specifically for young kids, ages 8 and younger. All kinds of things in the Discovery Zone to explore. Lots of hands-on activities. Some of them are with technology, and some of them are mechanical explorations.
Our temporary exhibits change several times a year so that no one can say, oh, I've been there, I don't need to go back. We'd like to always have something new. We have one of the largest collections of scientific objects of natural history in the United States. In fact, we're the largest collection of biological objects south of the Smithsonian. We care for more than 45 million specimens and artifacts. Our butterfly rainforest is probably our most well-known exhibit for most visitors.
You can see butterflies from Madagascar, from Australia, from all places around the world. We have more than 50 species and over several hundred different kinds of butterflies and moths. It's truly wonderful to see them flying in the rainforest. It's magical.
It's a beautiful experience, and what we hope it will inform people about is the diversity of butterflies, their biogeographic distribution, as well as the services that they provide, such as pollinating plants. Having a live exhibit is really a nice way to bring people in who might not normally visit a museum, and then they discover the rest of the museum and say, wow, you know, I never knew this was here. We have many educational programs that take place on site, lots of festivals and up close and personal conversations with scientists. And then we do a lot off-site as well, especially for kids who might not normally be able to visit the museum.
Education is really at the core of what we do. Our scientists create new knowledge by the research that they undertake, and often that involves undergraduate and graduate students. We have about 15 major scientific collections at the museum. The McGuire Center for Lepidoptera and Biodiversity was created many years ago. Lepidoptera are butterflies and moths, and we have the largest collection of butterflies and moths in the world, anywhere. In addition to all these specimens, we have many, many faculty and students who are studying them, which to me is the most important attribute, that the collections are used.
The purpose of the McGuire Center is to save and protect butterflies and moths using historical information to predict the future. One of the things that we're doing now is looking at the DNA sequences of butterflies and moths, something that we haven't been able to do in the past. And this rich collection provides that resource that we can actually use to understand the genetics of these organisms. Where did they come from? How do they evolve? Like, all these questions cannot be answered without this resource. So if you'd like to volunteer at the museum, it's a really great place to be, and you don't have to have that much experience. We train all of you, and you can work in the fossil collections, you can work in the collections here with the butterflies and moths, or even in the rainforest.
We're also very fortunate to have people who give financially. And you can do that by going on the museum website, floridamuseum.ufl.edu. But of course you can come through the door, enjoy the museum, and you can leave a donation here. You can go to our collector shop and buy a memory of your visit, and in all those ways you contribute to the museum.
The museum is free, with the exception of the Butterfly Rainforest and the Changing Exhibition program. We're open 7 days a week. We're only closed 3 days a year. And when you watch kids walk into the building, it's just amazing. I mean, they walk around the corner and they go, whoa, light up with a smile, and right there is that moment. This is why it's all worth doing.